Welcome back, Fantasy Endgame fan, fantasy baseball players. It is Wednesday. You know what that means. We're getting you caught up on the week that has happened so far and getting you ready for the week to come to help you with those matchups. And Pierre, we got some big news about some big-time young prospects. Are you ready?
Always ready for prospects. I'm glad that they're still coming. Keep it coming, right?
Keep it coming. And let's start with the guy who's already been up for 3 whole days now. But I know everybody was excited for Roman Anthony getting called up. And like most rookies who get called up, he has been absolutely phenomenal. 1 hit in 8 at-bats with 2 strikeouts. But it's only been 3 games. So Roman Anthony, he's gotten the call. Of course, like most rookies when they first come up, has not gotten off to a red hard start. Realistically, what are we expecting from Roman Anthony rest of the season?
Yeah, looking right now, 0 for 2 so far tonight, but it's okay. We got to remain patient. This is what we just talked about. We keep talking about, right? The hype almost always exceeds the reality because these guys get so overhyped. And I know it's exciting, but again, the real world, it's, a guy who's playing the major leagues for the very first time ever, who's like 21, 22 years old. Roman Anthony, of course, the number 1 overall prospect in the game. I think you just got to keep him in your lineup. Just see what he gives you, because it's one of those things where even if he goes over 4, over 3, 1 for 4, and he's like, hey, he's not doing anything. When that actual first home run, when that first, multi-hit game, when it clicks, then it's like the floodgates sometimes they burst open, right? Not always, but just saying, you don't want that on your bench. You stash this guy for a reason. So I've got him in actually more leagues than I remembered stashing him. I was pleasantly surprised to find I've got him in multiple leagues, and which is always nice, right? Like a little surprise, like I didn't have to pick this guy up off waivers. He was just there. I'm keeping him in my lineups pretty much everywhere. He does have a couple RBIs, so I will say that. He only 1 hit yesterday. He did knock in 2. So, but yeah, and he's hitting 5th. They don't have him down at the 9th spot or anything. So yeah, just keep Roman out there and hope that he lives up to at least part of the expectation.
Yeah, exactly. I think you gotta give him more of a chance than 2.5 games. What about a pitching prospect? Brewers pitching prospect Jacob Misiorowski, 6'7" flamethrower here. Looks like he's going to make his debut on Thursday. So again, this is a highly touted, highly awaited pitching prospect. I know how you generally feel about pitching prospects. Let me see it first. When it comes to Misiorowski, however you pronounce it, do you want to see it first?
Yeah, I'm not keeping him in my lineup. Here's the thing. He is one of those, and for those who don't know about Mizorowski, he's one of these guys that immediately you look at him, you're like, the next Randy Johnson could be, right? But if you know that far back, if you know actually the story of Randy Johnson, he almost didn't even make it to the majors because he was so erratic. He walked as many guys as he struck out. He struck out a ton of batters and he walked a ton of batters. Mizorowski is not really that different. He still has a very high walk rate. And that's why I actually was surprised because, with a guy like Roman Anthony and, a lot of these hitters, you're just counting the days, right? It's just a matter of time, right? They've got to do it. With pitchers, it's different, but also with Miz especially, like, do they feel he's ready? And are they for sure even going to put him in the rotation? That was my question, because it looked like they had moved him last year to the bullpen, number 1, to limit injury potential because he already had some injuries. And of course, a guy like that, it's almost like you're just expecting it. And I wasn't sure if they would even put him as a starter. So this one has a lot of potential to go wrong. Again, don't want to throw cold water on this, but yeah, he might strike out a bunch of guys. He also might hurt your fantasy team. So I definitely want to see how he responds before I even think about deploying him.
Yep, that is definitely smart. Now, it's not all good news for these young players. Jackson Jobe, one of the top pitching prospects, unfortunately, having the dreaded Tommy John surgery. So obviously you don't need to hold on to Jackson Jobe this year. Next year, are we going to see Jackson Jobe? What's the long-term outlook here?
Yeah, not good because we're already almost halfway through June, so probably won't see him until second half of next year. Players respond differently, but young pitcher, the Tigers have been through this how many times now with their prospects. So it's a big blow. We can't give up on him long term, but yeah, obviously this year done. Next year you don't have to think about him. So it's a tough break, but it's these days it's like not even surprising, is it?
No. Sad. It's sad, but not surprising. And then not a young pitcher, a vet, but a very good pitcher, back to the IL. He just came off the IL, made one start. Now he's back on the IL for a different reason, rotator cuff injury. Apparently, that's Cole Reagans of the Royals. What's the panic meter here? I mean, he had that groin injury. I think he was on the IL for 20 days. Now he's on the 15-day IL with a rotator cuff injury. Like, what's the panic level here on Cole Reagans right now?
Well, it's funny because I just talked about Cole Reagans as a potential buy low. And I said, you know what? This is obviously his struggles, I think, are very clearly injury related. So if he clears that hurdle, if he's good physically, I think this is a good opportunity. He's obviously not good physically. But with that said, if he actually recovers fully this time, when he comes back, I think we should still see the same Cole Reagans. And so obviously this sets things back. I'm not going to buy low on him now because you're missing him 2 weeks minimum, and it could be longer, probably longer. But I'm not at the same time going to think like some people think, this is just a ruined season, right? He's snake bit and it's just he's not going to be right. No, I think once he's back, he'll be back and he'll be fine. So I guess just take what I said for today's video and just delay it a couple of weeks, and then maybe you can still buy low.
Although, this might even present a better buy low opportunity if the person with Reagans is panicked.
Well, you know what? I don't like to advocate for buying injured pitchers, especially when they're just now going on the IL. But yeah, if you can get them on the cheap, maybe you got an IL spot that you're not going to use. That's good for you. I mean, I know all my IL spots are full, but
Right.
yeah, if you can afford to, sure, maybe it is a buy dirt cheap opportunity.
Exactly. Buy dirt cheap. And then how about a guy who looked like maybe he had lost it, just suddenly had lost it after a great start of the season, but he showed us today, nope, he's still got it. Jesus Luzardo of the Phillies, a dominant outing against the Cubs, 10 strikeouts in 6 innings, only 1 earned run after, 2 really dreadful starts. So you just looking at those last 2 starts as a blip on the radar, or are you looking at today as like cautiously optimistic?
I mean, at this point, and again, the timing, I wish it, could have been a little sooner, but just the schedule is the schedule. But calling him a buy low, well, I think that window should be slammed shut. But some people will be doubters. They'll be like, he's one good start, whatever. The issue with him is not physical. There was no injury, nothing. So that's right in and of itself a huge relief. He apparently was tipping his pitches. I mean, that seems like that's exactly what it was. And he figured out how not to do that. And he's back to being dominant. I mean, he did this against the Cubs. Like, what else do you need to see? So I don't know if maybe there is still a relatively low buy low window on him. But yeah, I think he pretty much proved exactly that. Those last 2 starts were just a huge outlier and otherwise dominant season.
All right, there you go. That's getting you caught up on what's been going on this week so far. But of course, there's still plenty of week ahead. We got games going on right now, and we're here to help you out with that, help answer all of your questions as we always do. Let me remind you, if this is your first time and you're impatient, you don't want to wait, you want to jump to the front of the line, you can use that super chat feature. That will get you right to the front of the line. Not a necessity, but it will. Also, let me also remind you, that's a lot of alsos. Underdog Fantasy right there is going on. You see it scrolling right there. Use code ENDGAME if you want to go into Underdog Fantasy. They have MLB picks every day of the week, of the year, really almost every day of the season. And if you do sign up on Underdog and use promo code Endgame, not only are they going to give you a free pick so you can experience winning right off the bat, but also up to $1,000 in bonus cash. All right. You ready, Pierre? Ready to get into these questions?
Let's do it. Let's not keep the people waiting.
Let's not keep them waiting. First question, Doyle. What's up, Doyle? All right. Pitcher question. Who you like better, Chris Bassett or Yuri Perez? You dropping Bassett for Perez?
Yeah, I mean, this seems counterintuitive when you look at how Bassett started the season and how Yuri, his first start went. Again, this is why I caution his first start. Yeah, we were all pumped up, but you got to remember, even though he looked great, rehab starts at AAA, still not the same thing. As bad as the Pirates are, I think they're slightly better than a minor league team still. So I think Yuri Perez will be better than Bassett rest of the season. So yeah, I would do that.
All right, go ahead and do that. And then we got N6 RCS. What's up? Is Sean Manaea worth stashing?
Worth stashing, and you probably shouldn't wait too much longer because we're going to start hearing about him making rehab starts and working his way back. It's still going to take a couple more weeks at least, but yeah, you got to do it now before the buzz starts, right? Especially a Mets pitcher. People are going to know when he's ready to return. So yeah, definitely worth stashing.
All right. And then we got Reckless Vibes. What's up? Said, been loving the content. Appreciate that. Would you trade away Vinny P and Jackson Churio to get Vlad? You lose 1 point for strikeouts, by the way. So I guess it's a points league and you lose a point for strikeouts.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely consider this pretty strongly no matter what. But again, if it's a points format, you gotta prefer Vlad. Vinny P's he's fine. Like he's solid, but again, let's not feel, he's not going to be a league winner, right? He's not like a big needle mover either way. So in a points league, yeah, give me Vlad. I would do this.
All right. And then Josh asking about Jacob Mizorowski. Hopefully you saw the beginning of the show. We talked about him in detail, but if you missed it, Josh, I'll put the question up. If you missed it, you can go back and rewatch the beginning there. All right, back to N6 RCS. Would you add Evan Carter and drop Mike Tauchman?
Yes, definitely. I actually was got to watch some baseball last night, which is always nice. And I love that. What's it called? The big inning where they get four at once. So I was watching. What I'm trying to say is when Evan Carter went deep, and it was kind of a late inning, meaningless home run, but still, seeing Evan Carter hit a home run was actually nice. Are the Rangers offensively actually waking up? I feel like I've been wanting this to happen. Like everybody else, I've been saying it might happen for weeks and weeks. But I will say this finally, to the credit. I don't even know if we can give Bochy credit. It's probably the front office just telling him, look, dude, you cannot just keep rolling these guys out there. So like Adolis Garcia has been benched. They sent guys down, obviously. They brought Berger back up and they're making moves. They're like, we've got to do something. Finally, they're shaking the cage here. So if Evan Carter can continue to hit, I think he's going to be a part of a hopefully revitalized lineup. Mike Tauchman he's like a guy like, oh, my player's injured. I don't have anybody on my bench. And, what's on the waiver wire? Oh, I guess there's Tauchman. Like he plays. That's kind of what he is. So yes, you can definitely do this.
All right. Definitely do that. Then we got Pink Elephants. What's up? I guess hope you're well also. What are your thoughts on keeping Pablo Lopez and Hunter Green on his IL? Do we have any update on Green's or Pablo Lopez's return?
Well, what I know of Pablo Lopez, it's the teres muscle, right? Teres forearm. 2 to 3 months is what we're looking at. That's not season ending per se, but it could be till possibly September that we actually see him. That's pretty much fantasy season ending because if you're still relying on Pablo Lopez by then, he might not be the one to dig you out of a hole. So, I mean, if I have an IL spot, I will stash him, but I don't think you need to. He's not a must hold. Hunter Green is not out long term, hopefully. So I'm definitely holding Green. I don't have a specific update. I haven't heard anything about Hunter Green, so I guess we can look that up. But his is not nearly like the severity of Pablo Lopez.
All right, thank you for that. And then Cooper wants to know, speaking of injuries, a lot of injury questions today. Getting a lot of injury questions. Do we have an update on Luke Keeschel?
Again, haven't heard anything specific. So, and he was 60 DIL. It was a fractured forearm. So, it's going to take a while. I'm going to just guess we see him basically right around All-Star break, maybe right after the break. So he's still going to be out a little while, but he should be on the way back. Again, if you have an IL spot, I love Keeschel and his upside, and we saw he was already hitting. I mean, I just hate the timing, right? Just such bad timing. Guy just gets the call, starting to make something of himself, and then like a week later, he gets hurt. But yeah, I still like his upside.
All right. And then pitcher talk here from Ethan. Bryce Elder, who I almost streamed last week against the Giants, but I was like, I don't want to wreck my ratios. Went out there and struck out 12 batters while only giving up 1 earned run in 8 innings.
Yeah.
Are you doing it against the Rockies in Colorado?
Doesn't this not feel like a trap? This totally feels like a trap, doesn't it? Because like I never can trust Bryce Elder, and then he does that, and you're like, well, now he gets the Rockies. But I'm not going to tell you not to do this. You can do this. Just be prepared. Brace yourself.
Yeah, I mean, even the Rockies on the road don't really scare me, though. I mean, okay, he's not going to get you 12 strikeouts again. Let's be real. The guy, well, what was his season high prior to that was 6, and he did have 8 once. But we were talking about a guy that only gets 3 or 4 strikeouts. But Rockies don't scare me, even at home. They don't scare me. Like, again, that ballpark only helps if you can actually hit the baseball. So they can't hit the baseball. All right, let's go back to buy lows from Doyle. Is Bryce Harper a buy low?
I don't think generally he will be, because there's some players, regardless of performance or injury, they just have that name. It's Bryce Harper, right? I don't think you're going to get a discount even if he's hurt, so this always depends on the Bryce Harper owner, right? Does he have a really good option at first base? And maybe he's like, okay, well, I'll trade my injured Harper and upgrade my team otherwise. It's possible. It's possible. But generally speaking, I wouldn't assume that he's a buy low.
All right. What's up? Fantasy sports. Just did the football draft with us. Now it's over here, right? Or is that somebody else? No, that's Sports Head. That's Sports Head. My bad. Sports Head. Sorry. All right. Well, we got a couple updates on these pitchers: Shane McClanahan, Grayson Rodriguez. So the update on McClanahan, they're shutting him down. He will visit a nerve specialist this week. That doesn't sound good. And the update we got: Orioles interim manager. Well, the interim manager already. That's terrible. Tony Mansolino said he's hopeful that Grayson Rodriguez pitches this season. So, with those wonderful updates, are you keeping these guys stashed on IL?
There's no reason to hold on to hope for McClanahan. It sounds like he's done. And Grayson Rodriguez, maybe a sliver of hope. But again, what are you waiting for? For September? Like, oh, maybe we'll actually see him pitch. Nah, you just need to cut bait here and not waste your time or your IL spots. Would I replace with any of those guys? Bieber? No, I think Bieber's done. So I would add Bieber. Sasaki? Probably not. Arrighetti, actually, even though he's not the biggest name on this list, he's the one I have the most hope for. I like Arrighetti. I would replace one or both of those guys with Arrighetti and then probably Darvish. Now, again, Darvish, when is he going to actually come back? I don't know. It sounded like it was going to be soonish, and now it's like back to being this big mystery. So, but I would definitely rather stash Darvish than McClanahan or Rodriguez. So I would pick up Arrighetti, though.
All right, there you go. Thank you for the question, Fantasy Sports. Harry Brooks in a head-to-head points league, pick one: Taylor Ward, Colton Cowser, or your boy, Jonathan India.
Yeah, my boy does not like to hit home runs or steal bases. So even though it's a points league, yeah, India has just kind of been disappointing. I know he's heating up a little bit, but for him, heating up is like 3 singles. So I'm going to go Cowser. I like Cowser the best in a points league. Taylor Ward, I already said it was a time to sell high about a week or two ago. Doesn't sound like there's much of an opportunity in a points league. So just go Cowser.
All right. And then Skywalker wants to know any concerns with Bailey Ober, and how do you rank these pitchers rest of the season? Ober, Gavin Williams, Nick Lodolo, Tyler Mahle, and Will Warren.
So I can't say there's no concern with Ober. Obviously, he hasn't been at his best lately, but it's not like a big red flag or anything. Just hasn't been his best. So I'm going to keep him. And somebody on Sunday, I think, asked about dropping him. I'm not going to drop him. I'm going to keep Ober and probably roll him out there still most of the time he's starting. Lodolo, I think it was just today, did not look very good. Gave up, quite a few runs, but it'll happen, right? It'll happen to all these pitchers. So you want me to rank these the rest of the season? I think I'm going to go backwards again. Let's put Will Warren last, riskiest. I'm going to put Lodolo second to last, or I guess in this case, fourth. I'm going to stick Tyler Mahle in the middle. I know we've seen the best that he has to offer. In other words, regression is coming, but I think he's still going to be solid. I'll put Gavin Williams second. But a week from now, you might put him first, and you might put Ober even farther down. I think I still have to put Ober first for right now.
All right, and speaking with Nick Lodolo, Anthony, what's up? Dropping in to say he may have to start drinking until he's unconscious whenever Nick Lodolo pitches.
Yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get with a pitcher like him. But I think the good has mostly outweighed the bad. You know, if that's the only thing that's driving you to drink, then overall you're doing pretty well.
Yeah. All right, you ready for our weekly Bubba Chandler question? Why isn't Bubba Chandler up yet?
Oh, because Pirates. But also, I will say I noticed somebody threw this out there. I can't remember where, but on social, I noticed. Bubba's ready, right? I mean, come on. What else does he need to prove in the minors? Not a whole lot. But in general, up until his very last start or 2 starts, which actually he didn't even do that well his last start. But in general, his walk rate has spiked. He's walking a lot more batters. He hasn't been as good lately. Now, this could just kind of be, I don't know if there's a term for it, but, well, I guess frustration. It's just like minor league fatigue, right? The guy's like, I'm ready. Like, why am I still here? You know what I mean? Like, he's just bored of AAA. Maybe he's just ready and he's frustrated that he hasn't gotten the call. He's never had walk issues before. But it almost just gives them an excuse not to call him up, right? So usually the reason why a top prospect who is ready isn't getting called up is service time manipulation. So that's probably all it is.
All right, we got a super chat from Anthony, and Anthony, this is already going to get me on a rant here. I'm going to do my best. Let's start with question number 2 first. Would you hold Jason Dominguez in a keeper league or trade him after a few decent games?
Now, Dominguez was actually my boy, and I was really hoping for a breakout this year. It's not happening. It's still not happening. I dropped him, and I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen this year. I think eventually it still could. I'd hold him in a keeper league. I mean, I guess it depends how many keepers you get and all that. I wouldn't drop him right now. So I guess the answer to that is yes, hold him for now.
All right, hold on. We got to get to the most important question here. We have technology that can accurately call ball and strikes.
Mm-hmm.
Tennis has technology that can tell you if the ball is in or out. Football, after one controversial play, which I've watched many times and I don't think was a first down, has now said we're gonna use the chips in the football and the chain gang is just gonna be there as a backup. Right? Yet somehow Major League Baseball lets old senile umpires make horrendous ball and strike calls that affects the outcome of games. And they're saying like it's still a couple of years before they do this. Why is baseball like this? Why is baseball like this?
Oh, there's a lot of things that are still very wrong with baseball. And, it's like the national pastime because of its roots and its history. And it's, played long before basketball was invented and football existed. But the problem is it's still in many ways stuck in the past, right?
Yes.
There's probably reasons that we don't even bother talking about it, why this exists. But you want to know which side I'm on? I'm on team get the robot umps in there yesterday. And you know what? I'll tell you this, not to go on a rant, but if you watch the little strike zone, them on the TV on the screen, the little strike, why do we don't need that? Like, why do we have that? Because it's not true. First of all, it's not supposed to be, hey, every pitch you throw in this box is a strike. The actual rules of the game, it depends on the batter, right? And so it's supposed to be between the knees and the armpits, right? And so a bigger guy has a bigger strike zone. A smaller guy has a smaller one. That's like the way it's supposed to be. So I understand why we still have human umpires, but I also don't think we need them. So could it be reality? Yeah, it should be. Will it be? I think eventually, I think they're just going to have to, right? Like they don't want to because baseball loves to keep its feet stuck in the past, right? And they love to brag about it, how archaic some of the rules are. But look, we finally got a universal DH. We finally have interleague play. We finally changed the whole playoff format. It's going to change. It's just going to take way too long.
Yeah. And like, have you talked to anybody who's like, oh, I like having human umpires.
Like, no, keep that guy back there. He knows what he's doing,
Yeah. Yeah. Come on. All right. Back to the questions, though. Thank you, Anthony. Nick wants to know, is it time to trade Marcell Ozuna?
It would probably be smart to trade Ozuna because it's been revealed, and of course everyone in your league probably knows this, that he's got a hip issue and he's playing through it. It's like a hip, like some sort of a tear. And it's not affecting him that much, but it kind of is because remember, he was red hot in April and then he has slowed down. So I know I hate to feel like you're selling low here, but it might be better than, selling, trying to sell before it's too late.
All right. Then back to N6 RCS. Which one of these catchers, Shea Langoliers, Logan O'Hoppe, or Baldwin, rest the season?
Well, you probably saw just last week. I told you, actually, I think it was probably this week. It's probably a Monday. I said Logan O'Hoppe was a cut candidate. You don't have to keep him. Now, Shea Langoliers is the guy rest of the season, except the problem is Shea Langoliers is on the injured list right now. So when he comes back, the answer is Langoliers. But you can stream. There's so many options. So you know what? Keep Langoliers on your IL, stream Baldwin, and then drop him when Langoliers comes back.
There you go. All right, back to fantasy sports. Should he move on from Ozzie Albies? He would then move Jazz to third base, and he could pick up Joe Adell, who continues to be on fire for now. Addison Barger, Evan Carter, keep the faith in Albies and make no changes.
Yeah, well, I reversed course on Albies, a month ago. I was like, yeah, it's time to move on, basically. You can sell. And then now I see he's picking up the pace, but also, Ronald Acuna is looking like Ronald Acuna. And the Braves offense is better. I think Albies will be fine. I don't think he's going to have one of his best seasons, but I think he's fine. Move Jazz to third, pick up Adell, Barger, Carter. I see. So you're saying, well, I think you're saying move Jazz to second, not third. But the real question is, are you going to be okay rolling out Adell, Barger, or Carter in place of Albies? I want to believe in Evan Carter and Joe Adell, but I also know better. Barger might be legit, actually. Barger might be the one that stays in your lineup. So I think you can do this. Like I'm either way on Albies. I think you can keep him. He'll be fine. He'll still get you runs and RBIs, get you a little bit of power, a little bit of speed. But if you move on from him, if you get something fair in exchange, I'm fine with that too.
All right, and then another one from Doyle wants to know Max Muncy or Alec Baum rest of the year. Alec Baum on a heater right now, 6 RBIs over the last 2 games.
Yeah, and Muncy also heating up now that he actually see where the baseball is.
True.
I think rest of the season, I am gonna go Muncy for upside. These are very different type of players. So this really is like, what do you want? Do you want a high batting average, decent amount of runs and RBIs with little power, or do you want a bunch of bombs and not so great batting average? So it's basically coming down to what category do you prefer here? Muncy for power or Bohm for average?
All right, there you go. And then back to N6 RCS. Another question. All right, this is what I always heard, in my long tenure playing fantasy baseball, which is now at 1 year and a couple months. When the weather warms up, when the weather warms, these guys, I know he's slumping out, but wait till it warms up. All right, so as the weather is warming up, is that going to help guys like Andres Jimenez or Anthony Santander have any fantasy appeal?
Hypothetically, yes. Well, Santander, no. I mean, not only he's been terrible, but now he's got a shoulder issue. So I think you can just continue to ignore Santander. Like, no. Jimenez, no. I don't think Jimenez is going to be a reliable contributor necessarily. He'll have spurts where he'll get you some steals. He might do something here and there, but I don't feel like either of these guys are going to be trustworthy in your starting lineup.
All right, back to Anthony. You say Kikuchi, who you recommended as a 2-star streamer, came through with a nice game this week. Is he worth holding on to rest of the season, or would you try to trade him for a bat in a 12-team roto league?
I'm going to extract the good while I can, and then I'm going to flip him. Yes, I would trade him if he's coming off a couple of good starts. Trade him.
All right, and then N6 RCS says, okay, last one. Cade Horton. Is he worth holding the rest of the season?
Not necessarily. And I'll tell you why. It's not because of the talent, because I'm big on Cade Horton. I think it's there for him. But the Cubs, as we know, are strong contenders now, right? When we just heard, or at least I just saw today, they are exploring the trade market. This is a team, when they're going to the postseason, they don't necessarily want Cade Horton in part of that rotation. They're going to want an experienced pitcher. So I wouldn't be surprised if Cade Horton gets sent to the bullpen, in other words, or even back down. So I don't feel great about this.
All right. Not a ringing endorsement there. All right. DD Ifulco. Or maybe D Chihuahua. I like that. It's like a little chihuahua, like, ah.
I love it.
What are your thoughts on Parker Meadows? Now, he hasn't had a lot of at-bats this year, but in the at-bats he has had so far, which is pretty much the entire month of June, he's batting a cool 185 with 0 home runs, 5 hits.
I think he's also one of these players because, and he 0 for 4 today with 3 strikeouts. But I think once he starts to hit, he'll hit in bunches too. He got speed. He's got some power. They got him batting leadoff. I mean, there's a lot to like here. So I picked up Meadows. I talked about picking him before he even was activated off the IL. So I'm going to stash him for now. You don't have to roll him out until he actually starts hitting, but I would definitely hold on to him.
All right. And then Harry wants to know, are any concerns with Jeff Hoffman? Is he still the closer in Toronto?
Definitely concerns with Hoffman. I was concerned about Hoffman holding on to that job before the season. Remember, I had him as a draft bust. Just not convinced he's going to hold on to that job. And, he did lose it. I mean, let's face it, a couple of weeks ago, he lost the job. And then the guy who was going to replace him, Yimi Garcia, he got hurt. So Hoffman is still, for now, the closer, really, because they don't have another better option. But, yeah, I'm not going to be convinced that he's going to keep that job long term.
All right. And then Dylan wants to know, is it time to drop Lars Nootbaar and pick up any of Matt Wallner, Luis Robert Jr., or Sedena Rafaela?
Well, Nootbaar's he's always tough to read, right? He's always one of those very fringe players, right? You're like, you don't feel like you have to keep him, but you don't know if you really should drop him. He's just kind of lives on the edge. I like Matt Wallner the best of these players. Rafaela has been hot. I guess you can keep it going, until he really completely cools off. But I think I still like Wallner best of all.
All right. And then Tribal979, what's up? Has a pitcher question. Apparently, Gavin Williams just out there on the waiver wire. Would you pick him up, but you'd have to drop one of Shane Smith, Mick Abel, or Tyler Mahle?
Ooh, that's tough. I don't want to drop Mahle because he's kept it going. Abel looks like he actually might stay in the rotation, at least for now. So I don't want to drop him. Shane Smith has been so solid. I do want to pick up Gavin Williams. Just trying to decide who I want to drop. It would probably be I guess it would be Smith, just because the upside is somewhat capped, right? Like, he's not going to get you wins, and his strikeout numbers are solid, but they're not as good as Gavin Williams. So I would do this and drop Smith.
All right, there you go. Awesomeness in a can. What is up? All right. He wants to trade for a slumping star pitcher, but he wants to trade Mackenzie Gore for said slumping star pitcher. Are there any slumping star pitchers worth trading for? And if so, are you trading Mackenzie Gore for them?
Well, if you're trading Mackenzie Gore in the season he's having, it would have to be a star pitcher, if you want to call it that. Because Gore's been great. I mean, you're not going to get anybody who's going to get you more strikeouts than Gore. So I'm trying to think who you could even get. I did say Cole Reagans, but now is not the time. I mean, Cole Reagans, but again, is that even an upgrade for Gore? I don't think it is. The only name I could even think of that might qualify as an upgrade here, if you're talking about a slumping star, is Spencer Strider. If you want to assume that he actually gets back to Spencer Strider form. But again, you're taking a risk there. You're definitely taking a very calculated risk. Maybe Logan Gilbert, just because obviously on the IL. But that's pretty much it.
All right. And then we got Sean S. Someone just offered him Rhys Hoskins, Taj Bradley, and Jameson Taillon for Yordan Alvarez and Chris Bubich in a 12-team roto league. Are you taking this?
I can see why they offered this to you. Don't do it. No, they're giving you. It is not quite that bad, but what was it? What do we call it? The poo-poo platter? They offer you the bunch of guys.
The poo-poo platter, where it's like, hey, look at all this not great stuff.
Yeah.
Why don't you give me your great stuff?
You get 3 players. You get 3. So choosing between quantity and quality, I think I'll keep the quality. Look, I know Yordan isn't coming back real soon, but you're not coming out ahead at all in this deal. So no, don't give up Yordan Bubich.
All right, don't do it. Don't take the poo-poo platter. All right, Anthony says he's got Craig Kimbrell in an NA spot. Does he get called up and get a shot to be the Rangers closer?
I regret even thinking this was going to be a thing. I did it. It didn't cost me anything but a waiver wire move. But I added Kimbrell for a day because they called him up in Atlanta, and he lasted there a day. And no, just. And you know what? I still am just going to have to just say I'm going to really make a conscious effort to ignore the Rangers bullpen. They're going to go through 20 different guys, and they're all going to get 2 saves and have an ERA of 5, and just I'm done.
All right, there you go. Don't do it, Satch. It's a cool picture of you playing guitar. Okay, what's the panic level on Yainer Diaz? And he's in a very shallow league with Kirk and Ramirez. That can't be Jose Ramirez. Is it Augustin Ramirez?
Augustin must be Augustin Ramirez.
Yeah, on waivers. So panic level on Yainer, and I guess he's asking would you drop him for one of those guys?
Yeah, trying to remain patient with Diaz. It's hard because again, the Astros overall have had some struggles. He's getting better, but he's still not good. So I will just probably hold on here because Ramirez is not like he's going to hit for a better average than Diaz the rest of the season. Kirk will hit for average, but he's not going to give you any power. So it's a shallow league. I mean, if you could, no, I'm just gonna forget it. I'm just gonna hold Diaz. I'm worried a little bit, but I'm not as worried. I would just hold Diaz.
All right, hold Diaz. I remember last year, I somebody dropped Diaz like midway through the season, and I picked him up, and he had a nice second half. So
yeah, I honestly feel like he's one of those players who, as the season goes on, as the weather warms up, second half, I feel like he's gonna kind of bust out. And actually, he's been much better lately, anyways.
all right, and then we got Awesomeness in a Can again. Wants to know Nick Pivetta. He did not look good in his last start. 5 earned runs against the not so mighty Giants. Is this just a bad start, or is it a sign of things to come?
No, just a bad start. He had one other bad start a couple of weeks ago, and just the fact that I can remember offhand the 2 bad starts he's had all season. Nah, I wasn't completely convinced, but Nick Pivetta seems at home in San Diego. I'm not gonna worry. I'm not panicked at all.
All right, and then Bayu 02215. Are you a believer in Heliot Ramos, and would you take Ramos over Brenton Doyle? I will say Ramos probably my most regrettable drop this year. I had guys coming off IL. I had to make room, and I chose Ramos, and I regret it. But I mean, he's been like a league winner, but he's been pretty solid.
Yeah, not and he's not going to be a league winner, and that was really early in the season. So, and look, there were a lot of people who were very skeptical of Ramos heading into the season. He was drafted pretty late because we didn't know, was it just like a 1-year wonder type of thing. I still like Ramos. I'm going to keep Ramos. I tried buying low on Doyle, and what I got was a very low performing player. I cut Doyle. I'm not completely out on him. He could turn things around, but it's the Rockies just having one of those years. So Ramos, rest of the season.
All right, and then Tribal wants to know, what are your thoughts on Yuri Perez? A bunch of hype. Everybody very excited. It's the Pirates, and he gives up 4 earned runs in 3 innings, but he did strike out 5, which is pretty impressive in 3 innings. Is he still a hold?
Still a hold. Just know it's going to be ups and downs. He'll look dominant at times, and then he'll look like a very young pitcher with command issues at times. So just know he's definitely not going to be a set and forget. He's not going to be a guy who just goes out there and blows hitters away every time.
All right. And then Steve, he's got Gunnar Henderson and Paul Goldschmidt. He's fighting the urge to trade them away. So, should he trade them away? And if so, who should he try to get in return?
Interesting combo here. Very different players because Gunnar is a very young stud player who you probably drafted in the first round, and he's kind of underachieved this year. And Goldschmidt is a very veteran player who has been surprisingly good. So I guess you're probably saying you want to sell high on Goldie and then maybe just move on from Gunnar. I'm gonna keep Gunnar. Goldschmidt, I'm okay trading away. I think he'll still get you average into RBIs. I mean, he's in that Yankees lineup. He's got a prime spot. So I think you can trade him though if you're getting something valuable back. But don't trade Gunnar. Who can you get for Goldschmidt? I think you can get something of decent value, and then obviously it depends what you're looking for. You could probably get like a mid-rotation arm, maybe not an ace, obviously. Um, maybe like a Clay Holmes kind of type of player, Kevin Gausman, someone like that. Look, Nick Pivetta just had a bad start. If you can get Nick Pivetta for Goldschmidt, that would be great.
All right, there you go. So look, it's okay to trade him away as long as you get the right pieces back. All right, Gabe wants to know, you got to keep 2 and drop 1 between Jordan Westbrook, Brandon Lowe, Jose Altuve in a points league. Who gets cut?
Lau gets the cut. Westberg just came back. I'm big on Westberg. He just homered yesterday. Altuve still has some value. No, it's not his best season, but I think he's going to be more valuable overall in a points league than Brandon Lau.
All right, and then N6 RCS apparently is a liar over here. Said it was his last question, but no, he's got another one. But at least he admits to it. He's like, "Hey, look, I lied." All right.
Yeah.
At least you're honest about that, so we'll forgive you. All right, Tyler O'Neill, who I think Tyler O'Neill was actually the one coming off of IL, and I had to choose between him and Heliot Ramos, and I chose him. Regrets. But anyways, he's back on IL again. When he comes back, does he have any appeal?
Yeah, and he came off IL for like 2 days and then went back on it. So,
yes,
but that's Tyler O'Neill.
I could have just kept Ramos.
But I still think, I think keeping O'Neill is not a bad decision because yes, he definitely has appeal once he's back. He just has to stay off the injured list. So once he plays, he's a guy who can hit homers in bunches and he can help you. So definitely an upside, yeah.
All right, and then Bring It 34. What are your thoughts on Ben Kasparius? Bring It is high on him.
I mean, he's fine, but let's just not get carried away because he's a Dodger. He gets a little bit too hyped, but he had a spot start. His start was 4 innings, right? 4 something, because he's not really a starter. He's done really well in that middle relief role, but that's what he is. He's just a good middle reliever. So I like him overall, but I'm not going to get carried away.
All right, and then Durf Boy, what's up? I assume he's talking about Justin Martinez here, who's given up a run in each of his last 2 relief appearances. Is it time to drop him?
Well, it's time to put him on the IL because I'm pretty sure they made that move. He's back on the 15-day IL. Now, if this is worst case scenario,
right. Which UCL sprain, it's over. No, it's done.
It might.
It's done. It's done. Done.
Calling.
It's a UCL. Nah, that's it.
Like Apollo Creed's trainer throwing the towel.
Throw in the towel. See, hopefully we'll see you next year.
Wait for the official word, and then you can probably drop him.
You can drop him. He's done.
It's probably done.
So who's the closer? Who's up next? Is it that one? What's his name?
Shelby Miller will probably go back to closing games, and then AJ Puck is kind of on his way back. It'll be a couple more weeks, but then probably AJ Puck gets the job back when he's healthy. If he can stay off the IL. But I think Shelby Miller is probably going to be their guy.
All right. Back to awesomeness in a can. I assume this is trying to trade Yordan Alvarez, for either bats or pitchers, since his outfield is PCA, Judge, and Tucker. Who are some, if you're trying to trade away Yordan Alvarez right now, who's realistic targets?
This is a tricky one. I mean, how do you trade a player who's not only on the IL, but is going to stay there for an undetermined amount of time? So this is going to come down to who actually wants to take that chance. I don't think you're getting, we're not getting a stud player, probably. It's hard to say. You're saying for bats and pitchers, so like anybody, you're going to have to set your sights down to like the second, maybe third tier of players. Like Helio Ramos. If I could get Helio Ramos, I think that would be fair and that would be fine. Realistically, I'll tell you a player I think is still undervalued despite being really good. Now people are kind of catching on, but Zach Neto of the Angels, I think he's pretty solid. Now, obviously, you don't need an outfielder because you just said you have the best outfield in the game somehow. Any of the players I would say that are buy low candidates, it's probably too late on Junior Caminero. Would have bought on him a week ago. Yeah, probably try to do a 2-for-1 here, though. It really comes down to what people are willing to give you for Yordan Alvarez.
All right, and then back to Anthony. Are you ready to talk about Max Scherzer? Looks like he could be back soon. He's going to make his first rehab assignment start this Friday with the Buffalo Bisons. Any hope? Any hope here? Is he still worth a look? And also, how do you feel about Casey Mize, who I believe got rocked today? I wouldn't say he got rocked. Actually, he wasn't bad. 5 1/3, 7 strikeouts, 2 earned runs. Did give up 8 hits. So, how do you feel about Casey Mize and Max Scherzer?
Yeah, Mize isn't quite putting it all together. We still want to see more strikeouts from him. That just continues to be the theme. I think he'll be fine. He's probably preferable if you can, for to just stream at spots. Got to remember too, his last outing, like he wasn't bad, but he played the White Sox. I would just call him a high-end streamer. Max Scherzer, I think worth a look if I'm watching from a distance. Like I'll watch him pitch on the TV, and that's it.
He's worth a look on somebody else's fantasy team.
Right. And look, maybe he is still. I think he still has some gas left in the tank, but the problem is that the car is still in the garage, covered by one of those big dusty cloths, and there's parts missing, so it doesn't run. So we're not going to see the gas in the tank.
All right. Okay. All right. Back to Bayu 02215's got another outfielder question. Adolis Garcia, is there any hope here? Is he just waiver wire fodder?
He's officially waiver wire fodder because I dropped him off of my roster in our league last week. So I know that brings you no pleasure, Chris, seeing as how you traded him as I bought low.
Yeah. I don't even remember what trade. Was that the Bellinger trade? I think that was a Bellinger trade, wasn't it? It was Adolis Garcia and
it was a while ago. I don't remember. It was a multiplayer trade. I know that. He was like a
yeah, it was. I'm trying to think because I know the Freeman trade was Trey Turner and Jake Berger for Freeman, but it was Adolis Garcia and somebody else. I think for Bellinger, I can't remember. And then I traded Bellinger for Tommy Edman, and
the thing is, he's now starting to sort of hit, but that's not enough. Like, just so he's just climbing back to maybe respectability. Where are the home runs? Like, I need some massive power. So I don't think you have to buy into him until we see him actually get hot. Like a single here and there is not going to do it.
Well, like you said, the other frustrating thing is like they seem to be giving him lots of days off. It's like, oh man. All right, N6 RCS, not a question, just saying he's blessed to have found the channel, and he is saying he'll be back Sunday. Don't lie, don't lie to us, N6.
Well, now this is a good time to bring it up. So now we're almost done here. This Sunday, because we ought to do this 2-star streamers, probably gonna have to do it in the afternoon a little bit earlier, because I'll be gone at night. But I think we can still manage to pull it off. Hopefully,
all right, in the afternoon. There you go. All right, are you ready for another Bubba Chandler question? Would you drop Bubba for Chase Burns from F? What's up, F?
Yeah, and I just talked about Chase Burns, so this makes sense. I think it's fine. I mean, I don't know who's getting the call first. I'm still higher on Bubba than Burns, but maybe Burns is going to see action first. So I'm okay with this.
All right, and then Wenzel Perez, is he worth an ad?
deep enough leagues, sure, he's giving you something. But again, this is a streamer. This is a guy, put him in there, assuming that he'll give you like a week or maybe 2 weeks worth of production and be ready to move on.
Speaking of a week or 2 weeks worth of production, is that what we were going to get from Lance McCullers? Is it already over after dominance? He got the lowly White Sox and he gives up 4 earned runs in 5 innings. He did strike out 6 though, but he also walked 4.
Isn't this always the way? Isn't it always the way? Just when everyone is all in, and a guy looks like he's back, right? This is it. And then you play the White Sox, and let's not give up on him after one not so great start. So I'm just gonna keep for now.
All right. Yeah, I would definitely start him again this week. Definitely. Doesn't he have another good matchup this week?
Yeah, I know he was a 2-start pitcher this week. Let me see.
He gets the Twins. They don't scare me. I'm giving him another chance against the Twins. I mean, they're better than the White Sox, of course, but
and he did get strikeouts still.
Right. He'll at least get you that. All right, Kevin wants to know, what pitcher can he get if he sends a trade of Michael Harris and Casey Mize in a 14-team categories league?
14-teamers, a little deeper. So Harris value is not super high based on how he's been performing. Mize, again, it's fine, but this is not going to fetch you, of course, a high-end pitcher. Realistic target that you should target from Mize and Harris. I mean, look, Harris does have some value. Let's see. Look at the options. Christopher Sanchez might be fair. Maybe someone kind of solid but not super exciting anymore, like a Freddie Peralta. I think that's fair. Sonny Gray actually might be even better. Something kind of like that.
All right. I think we answered this on Sunday, but let's answer it again for Gabe real quick before we get out of here. Do you think we'll see Ohtani pitching in the second half of the season or sooner?
Sooner, no. We'll probably see him pitch, but what we'll see is he'll pitch like 3-4 innings at first and then maybe 5 innings. You've got to realize they're going to be very careful with him. So we are going to see him pitch at some point, but I don't think it's going to be sooner now.
All right. And then we got to end with this. Is it time? Is it time to buy back into Jo Adell? He's got 4 home runs in the last 5 games. He's got 6 home runs in the last, 8 games. He's on fire right now.
He's on fire. You know what the hell? Yes. Just all in. Just go all in.
All in.
Jo Adell.
No. Don't do
next
it.
Aaron Judge.
Don't do it, because that's when they cool off, right? That's when they cool off, right? When you're like, this is it. Yeah, I'm buying in. That's when they that's what they're waiting. That's what these guys wait for. They wait for us to all buy in, and they're like, okay, now I'm gonna go back to striking out 3 times a game.
There you go. It's fan service. It's exactly what I wanted to hear.
Yes, let's go all in on Jo Adell. Come on, this is it. This is his breakout season. Finally, this is it. Finally,
this is it.
He's like the guy we were talking about on the football draft, right? Like there's certain guys that people just always want them to be a thing every year. It's Jo Adell. We want Jo Adell to be a thing. This is it. This is the year. He's going to be a thing.
I've wanted him to be a thing for way too long. And so now that I've forgotten about him, he's a thing. Like, yeah, why not? Jo Adell all the way.
All the way. Jo Adell, league winner. You just heard it here.
You got on your team, you got Cal Raleigh, Big Dumper, and Jo Adell. Done.
It's over. It's over. Just everybody else might as well stop setting your lineup. It's over. I win. I got Cal Raleigh, Jo Adell. Game over.
That's it.
All right, but just in case you don't have Cal Raleigh and Jo Adell, we're going to be back here on Sunday to help you out for the teams that aren't fortunate enough to have those 2 league winners on their teams. Maybe a little earlier, so have those notifications on just in case we go live earlier. Don't forget, Buy Low came out today. We've already got Beat the Breakout, Panic, Keep Trade Cut kind of thing out on Monday. And, of course, Waiver Wire coming out on Friday. That's always a very, very important video. Appreciate you guys being on here. Appreciate the laughs. It's always a good time. We'll see you guys back here on Sunday. Good luck the rest of the week. Hope you guys all get lots of home runs from Joe Odell this week. We'll see you on Sunday.